Hello and welcome to my studio. My name is Derek. I'm a professional stained glass artist and I make inspirational videos and tutorials all about stained glass. I also run online courses, and I recently got a question through from a fellow stained glass artist by the name of Miles Barfield, and he asks me, Derek, I've taken to using Alaska Ulu Knives. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Miles. I haven't perfected my technique with it yet, and I still tend to use lead nippers as well. Why do you prefer using a lead knife for cutting lead? Well, to be honest, Miles, I have no idea what an Alaskan Ulu knife is, so I had to Google it. It's really interesting, actually. The Alaskan Ulu knife has a history of more than 5,000 years. The Inuit cultures in Alaska, Greenland, and Canada. It was created to be a knife for all purposes of typical day-to-day tasks within these communities. Isn't that amazing? So, it says here, an Ulu knife is known for its versatility. It has a beveled blade that is an ideal tool for cutting herbs, vegetables, nuts, cheeses, meats, chickens, fish, and even, apparently, stained glass windows, which is fantastic. I never knew about these knives. The point is, using your tool, whatever the tool is that you like to work with, you use what is to hand. There are commercially available leaded light knives available, and I'll show you a little video in a second just outlining a variety of different knives that are available on the market and why I actually make my own lead knife as well. So let's just have a look at this video now. And by the way, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and leave a like and make suggestions for new videos that you might want to see all about stained glass. Basically, this channel is your one-stop shop for all things stained glass. So remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and it really does help me reach more of an audience, which is really what we want. We want to keep the craft of stained glass alive. So Miles, here's your answer to why I use the lead knives that I do. If you buy lead knives online or in hobby shops, etc., they tend to look like this. They usually have a blade, a sharpened blade here, and quite often they will have a metal end here. That metal end is used to help tap nails into your work surface. It's a very handy piece of kit, and it's lightweight and it's easy to hold in different sized hands. You also get a slightly more exotic type of lead knife, which is like this. It looks like some kind of Arabian dagger. It's incredible. And this is a European lead knife. It's not one that I tend to use very often, but I recognize that it is available and a lot of people will decide to use it. It has this curved blade. It can be useful for a variety of different cuts, and it's held in a slightly different way. As I say, it's not the most comfortable blade for me to use, but you may find it to be great. Again, there's a metal end here for tapping glass into, and we'll go into how to use these in a minute. What I tend to do is I tend to make my own leaded knife, and I make my own leaded knife from a type of scraper, a window scraper that often looks a little bit like this. You can buy them in decorator shops and hardware stores, and it is simply a handle with a blade, and the blade is quite blunt. So in order to make it into a usable leaded knife, we simply sharpen this blade. So I've just spent time sharpening all of the lead knives using the carborundum stone. If you're using power tools to sharpen your blades, again, be extremely vigilant and careful because it's very easy to make an error and a mistake. Doing it by hand with a carborundum stone takes a little bit longer, but I would recommend it, especially if you're unfamiliar with using power tools. I get into the habit of sharpening my lead knives pretty much every day before I start a project, just to make sure they're in premium condition, because if the blade is sharp, it makes it so much easier to cut the lead, so much less effort, so you can actually produce work in a more speedy manner using less effort with a good sharp blade. Now that we've sharpened our blades, we can just make sure that they're working properly. Using a lead knife like this, you hold it in the palm of your hand and you push down. Sometimes people use a rocking motion or a direct push down. I tend to push straight down, perpendicular, to the lead, at 90 degrees to the lead, and just put a little bit of a wiggle on the blade as well as you're working with it, so it's almost as if it's cutting gently down through cheese, applying a little bit of even pressure like this. And we should have a nice cut without too much crushing of the lead. If you're finding that you're having to use a lot of pressure and the lead is basically collapsing down on itself, that's a good indication that your blade isn't sharp enough. It should literally just be able to cut down with a little bit of pressure. You should be able to cut it without really crushing the heart of the lead. So with this particular blade, rather than pushing with the palm directly down like this, you hold the blade more like a knife and you cut it in the way that you would normally cut a knife, like this. I find this blade particularly awkward. It's not my favorite. However, you may find it useful to use this blade and use this motion. I find it a little bit of a strain on my hand and arm to actually cut using this method. I much prefer holding the blade in the palm of my hand like this and just using the strength of my arm and hand directly down onto the surface of the lead. Have an experiment with different blades and get the one that's absolutely comfortable for you, the one that you feel easy and comfortable to work with, and it will take quite a lot of practice to get good at cutting lead, especially the larger sections of lead like this. You need a little bit more effort. I'm in a sitting position at the moment because I'm doing a demonstration for you to camera, but in reality I'm normally standing at a bench, so I can use a lot more of my shoulder and arms to push down onto the lead to cut it in a nice, easy, fluid motion. Now that we've cut our lead, if you find that the lead has folded ever so slightly in on itself, this is when the fid comes in useful. Basically, we use a fid by setting the lead on its end and running the sharpened end of the fid across the intersections of the lead, opening out the heart of the lead, like this. And we turn the lead over and do the same on the other side. And in that way, we have opened up the heart of the lead. One of my favorite tools is the oyster knife, and I use it often in preference to the fid. And again, it's used in a similar way. I simply run the blade along the edge of the lead to flatten the lead out, because lead being a soft material, it can crimp and it can bend and it can buckle. So using a simple blade like this will help you to open up the heart of the lead so that it's ready to receive the pieces of glass.
Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.